Welcome to Om Shanti Healing's podcast, The Spiritual Connection. In this podcast, we're going to talk about your energy, their energy, vibration, the chakra system, self-care for the body, talk to multiple healers and people that have been through trauma, and talk about their journey out of hard times, how they did it, and how they're now sharing it with others. I'm so happy to have you on. Let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Om Shanti Healing's podcast, The Spiritual Connection. This is episode 51. My guest speaker is local healer and hypnotist, Derek Ivey. Hi, Derek. Welcome on.
Hey, Jill. Thanks for having me on the show.
I appreciate you being here. I'm really curious to know a lot more about you. To give a short introduction on Derek, he helps sensitive and intuitive people recover from addictions, toxic systems, illness, and major life transitions by working with the nervous system, working with the subconscious mind and the energy field, all at the same time, because it really is a collaborative effort to really make deep shifts happen. I do believe in that. His approach blends a traditional clinical hypnotherapy with intuitive insight and deeply therapeutic energy work like Reiki and pranic healing. That is so fabulous. I'm so curious to learn more about all of that, Derek. Can you start with just telling the audience a little bit about your backstory? What were you like as a kid that maybe gave you hits of this is your calling, and what led you directly, into this kind of work? I'm assuming it was kind of an
hmm
evolution over time, right? Can you just share a little bit
Yeah,
about that so we can get to know you?
definitely. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of us in the healing arts professions, we have that kind of wounded healer archetype of it's like we've been through a lot of crap, and that's what led us to where we are now, and our own journey brought us into being interested in helping others, and that was definitely the case in my world. And when I was growing up, I never thought like, oh, I want to be a healer or I want to be a hypnotherapist or an energy healer. Actually, I didn't even really know what that was at that time. Like, I think I wanted to be a paramedic most of my childhood, which it's kind of interesting now because it's like now I'm still helping people in just in a different way. But the big catalyst for me was my own addiction and my own dance with addiction. And from a very young age, I my childhood at the time I thought it was very normal, because it's all I knew. And I had my biological mom, my biological dad for the first part of my life, and then they got a divorce and they both remarried. But I always felt just not a part of any of these blended families that they tried to put me in a box in. And so it was just a lot of like, I've heard it described as a hole in the soul. And that really resonated with me of what it was like growing up. And, but I didn't know I had that. But looking back now, I'm like, yeah, I was lost in a lot of parts of the earlier parts of my life. So when I turned 16, I was already a hardcore alcoholic. I was already drinking, getting drunk as much as I could, doing whatever drugs I could do. And as you know, that is not the best path for life success. And that just
Certainly not.
kept going even more destructively into my early 20s. And that's really when I was in a state of emergency within myself. And I was like realizing I can't keep living like this. But I can't stop either. And so that took me into the 12 step worlds, and that was kind of my door into the spiritual world because I was not a spiritual person like leading up to that. But when I entered the 12 step worlds, I kind of figured out, well, there's no way I can actually get sober unless I find some way to relate with life on a bigger level. Like, and what am I doing here? What is my life's purpose? And all of that came through that. But yeah, I originally went to school to be an addiction counselor and traditional psychology, and then that just I found it really wasn't my path because I wanted to help people in an even deeper way. At that time, I was still going through my own addiction, and it was kind of like I was what you would call a chronic relapser, and I would just, do good for a little bit, then go back, and then, it was just very up and down. And that was painful, very painful, but it also like my soul evolved so much through that. And yeah, it has not been a linear path. So once I really realized that, yeah, that's not really what I want to do. Like, I don't want to help people that are like court ordered to be somewhere to get help. Like, I want to help people that really want the help. And so I personally went to a hypnotherapist, and it was a game changer. I was like, they made me a tape that I listened to every day. Like, I still listen to that same one quite a bit, like in times of need. But that opened my eyes to like, wow, there's a different way of having an altered state of consciousness that doesn't involve self-destructing. So that was fascinating for me. That got me personally curious. Like, I wanted to learn everything I could. Like, I want to know what how to get my own life in order. And then I realized, you know, I'm not happy working at these corporate jobs that I was at the time. And I worked for a grocery store for like 15 years as a front end supervisor. Um, I did medical billing, and I worked for a dentist, and I kept thinking like, I'm gonna find the job that makes me happy and then I'll be happy. But none of them, I felt like I was in prison at all of my jobs that I had. And so that really it motivated me to get my education to help people. And that's kind of where it took me, was to a hypnotherapy training in Golden, Colorado back in the mid 2010s. And that school is now retired, but it was just such a divinely led, like how it all came into my life. And just as soon as I started doing this work, it was like I'm meant to be doing this. I am The people that I worked with started getting really good results right away. Um, just like really, I kind of shocked myself, and I was like, wow, I can do that. Like, I can help people that much. And so, yeah, then it just kind of deepened from there. And the hypnotherapy world got me into the energy because I would take myself into these really deep trance states, and I started understanding how energy worked in those deep trances. And I met my spirit team. I got different guidance, different clarity, things that just really were unexplainable in every worldly sense. And so then that kind of Reiki was in my awareness, and at that point, and I was like, I really feel drawn to Reiki. Like there's just something about Reiki. Like I didn't even know fully what it was at that point, but I was like, I feel like it's calling me. And a week later, I go to my acupuncturist and I was like, yeah, I really want to learn Reiki. And she's like, oh, I teach Reiki. And I was like, wait, what? Like, you teach Reiki? And she was like, yeah. And then we trained a week later. I went through all 4 levels of Reiki within a couple years. And that just blew more locks off of all of these things that just doors opened. And then that momentum has brought me here. And now I've been doing my work since 2017 here in Fort Collins and worldwide. And it's just kind of evolved into my own kind of healing, just as I'm sure your practices too. Like we all have such a unique angles to our healing that it creates something really beautiful through all of the different things that we've learned as practitioners. And I'm still very much into continuing education, and I'm always wanting to learn more. I'm always a student of life. Like I never, as long as I'm living and breathing, I don't have it all figured out. And so I really just live life with that like quality of just I want to learn. And
Mhm.
I want to remember my place in the world, that I'm one among many.
Yeah. Yeah. I love your beautiful, curious mind. Yeah. It's important to keep fresh, right? To keep challenging our heads and learning different
Yeah.
modalities. And I'm with you on that, just that desire to keep processing new information and practicing new different things that can help others. It's a wonderful
Mm-hmm.
thing. And I saw that on your website that you had done neuro-linguistic programming training. Who was
Mm-hmm.
that through? And tell me about how that helps people.
Yeah, NLP is amazing. Actually, NLP, I got certified in transpersonal NLP, neuro linguistic programming, for anyone watching wondering what it is. It's the study of excellence, is basically what NLP is. It's the study of excellence. It's how do we create the most excellent version of ourself, of our life, our health, our money, our relationships. So that was something that I didn't set out to become an NLP practitioner, but when I went to my clinical graduate training, that was something I got certified in. And yeah, now it just kind of, it's not one of those things where I'm like, let's do an NLP session. It's just kind of it does inform my work though, for sure. Like I use a
Yeah.
lot of the elements. Um, NLP is amazing because it gives you it's just so practical, I think, is what I like so much about it. It's like it's not woo woo, it's just here. It's you can study, there's different things you can do with NLP, like if you're trying to embody, like, say, a higher version of yourself, and you are wanting to completely transform, you could look at like 5 different people that you really look up to, and you look up to different people for different traits, and you could actually study those people and kind of use aspects of all of that to create how you want to be in the world, or how you want to create change, or things like that.
Yeah, it's all like how you talk to yourself, right?
Hmm.
Rephrasing that inner dialogue to be more healthy for you.
Yeah. And yeah, the truth is, like, we're always, our words, and not only the words we speak, but our unspoken words, our subconscious is listening to absolutely everything, especially the unspoken words. So
Yeah.
it's like, all of us are psychic, every single one of us. So that means, like, people think that, like, oh, I have a private thought about this person, but I'm going to be nice to their face. No, they can feel that fully.
Yeah.
Like, they can feel that really subtle. They might
Hmm.
not know what's off, but they're like, wait, like something's off here. So, yeah, it's really about, just no matter what modality I use, it's all about clearing away the debris of what's not you. So who you really are can just shine and be in your full expression as your best self and of highest service to yourself, to the planet.
Yeah.
But yeah, words, it's so important how we talk to ourselves, because
Hmm.
that's our dialogue that our subconscious is running. And that's one thing that my work really helps with, is it gives a new point of attraction to your subconscious, so that it doesn't just revert to chaos or entropy, which is our natural state when you don't give your subconscious something to focus on, something to see as that point of attraction. Then you're going to get dragged by every which way by life, because you didn't get out ahead of it vibrationally.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna close my door. My dogs are having a moment. Sorry
Yeah,
for that, guys.
I love animals.
They're like, they have to guard the front window.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So I love what you're saying, and it's so true because the inner dialogue is conflicting for a lot of people, I think. Like we show up in a certain way, we put a mask on to present to the general public in our environment, but inside there's all this turmoil going on, whether
Hmm.
it's, about, I mean, it could be about a million different things, right? A lot of
Oh
people,
yeah.
women and specifically, have body image issues, and they compare themselves to other women in lots of different
Hmm.
ways. And that's a really internal struggle for us as females. And then there's also like comparison of money and success and status and all of these
Hmm.
things. And how do you feel about like the people that present in a certain way, like on social media? Social media is great for things, but a lot of times it's so fake, and people present themselves as having this beautiful, perfect life. Everything is going great. But we all know that's not true, right? Maybe most
Hmm.
things are going great, but not everything, right? But they put themselves out there like they've got it all together. And oh, by the way, I've written this program. If you have $5,000, I'll teach it to you on
Hmm.
how to have a perfect life. Do
Yeah.
you like, how do you feel about that kind of environment as far as sabotaging? Our dignity, our self-worth, in those kinds of environments, healthy or unhealthy? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I have totally felt what you're talking about. And yeah, it's, to me, it is very, very, like, I think it's, our culture is toxic right now. Like, that online world of just, I was talking to someone the other day about this, because I watched this video and this guy really got me thinking. He was talking about, you know, why are we not disclosing with others how much we really struggle. And it's like, why are we in silence struggling by ourselves? And I mean, he was talking about financially struggling, but I feel like that could be about anything. It's like, because there's so much shame about like saying, oh, I'm not perfect, which none
Right.
of us are. But yeah, I think that that gets perpetuated so much in the, especially like the online wellness culture and all of that. It's like it's rampant. And
Mm-hmm.
as someone, both of us, like, we have made our healing arts and crafts our life. It's like we've devoted so much to the study, the practice, the everything that goes into that. And I think a lot of people are jumping on that bandwagon, like they take a weekend course and then they put themselves out to the public as the same thing as someone that went to school for years to learn what they do.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, like, yeah, that I have thought about that and been like, well, that's messed up, because like people don't know the difference. They just see the title. But going back to what I said, like, I think people feel that though. Like they feel that there is an incongruence in many cases when people are just, I'm perfect, my life is perfect. It's like, but also it does do a lot of harm because
Yeah.
people do compare themselves. They compare someone else's outside to their inside. And
Yeah. That's a great way
I
to
think
put
that,
it. Yep.
yeah, it's like the biggest thing is that people, yeah, I don't know, it left me. But the other thing I was going to say is that there's, how a tree grows in two directions?
Mm-hmm.
It grows into the roots and then it
Mm-hmm.
grows up into the sky. It's kind of like when people are on social media, all people see is what's above the ground, and
Mm-hmm.
all they see is the leaves and the branches, but they don't see all of the roots and all of the hours of, what people actually do to get where they are.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think we're all going through that growing pain together because it's like we're in an unprecedented world that, like, none of us know how to navigate a crazy world like this. None of us have had
Right.
to face the same challenges that we're facing in this day and age. So yeah, I think it's kind of just like the Wild West. Is that kind of answer that? There's so many aspects to it.
Yeah, there is. And it's just, it would be nice to show a little vulnerability, and realism, and that's what these podcasts are for. Like when I bring people on,
Hmm.
we talk about uncomfortable things. We talk about our weak spots, and
Yeah.
I show up for people, sharing that because I really feel like at the heart of all of us, there's a need for us
Hmm.
to show up and present in a way that feels more human. You know, we are vulnerable creatures. We have strengths, we have weaknesses, we have self-sabotaging actions and thoughts, and we also have things that empower us and make us feel really good about ourselves. Everybody
Hmm.
has a balance and a dance that we do every single day, right? To
Yes.
just try to make it to the next day, right? And do the
Yeah.
best work that we can while we're here. So when you meet with clients, is there a pattern that they share with you around those roots, right? Did they talk about that kind of stuff with you, and that's what they show up with is what they want to work on? Is I want to expose my roots to you, and I need help cleaning that out and feeling better about what's below the surface.
I think so. Yeah. And I love that you talk about the light and the dark, because it's like, yeah, our reality is made up of the light and the dark. You can't, it's two sides of a coin. We have to be able to hold both. And I think that's what really is harmful about that social media culture of like just only showing the positive, is because it devalidates over half of your life experience. It's like as humans, we have a full range of emotions that it's like they all
Right.
manifest.
And you want
And
that balance too, because you also don't want to look on Facebook and have people just complaining about everything in their life constantly.
oh,
No one wants
totally.
to hear or listen to that either, right? The happy news, the positive news, that mask is more attractive, right? The dark stuff, the
Yeah.
roots, is stuff they come to us for, right? It's more personal, it's more intimate. People don't want to
Hmm.
show up like that, to the world.
Yeah. And I would say that people do get very vulnerable. And, there's sometimes when, and I always let people know, like, I'm a judgment-free zone. And I, you know, really be as real with me as you want to be, because the more real you are, the more I can help you. And it's just, I think some people, they don't have that in their everyday world. Like they don't have anyone that is a safe space or a judgment-free space in their everyday life. So sometimes by the time they
Mhm.
come into my office, they'll start crying just being there, being in the energy of
Yeah.
love and just accepting them as who they are. It's very much just, it's like, let's put it all out there. And, life is all of it. And what's really beautiful is that I get to help people alchemize those dark parts and help them make it into something beautiful that just really can hold all of them, every every part of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the huge heart that you have for people and their healing. Can you give me like an example of kind of the process by which you work with people? Let's start with like the hypnotherapy part of what you do. I'm sure there's an intake, there's a get to know you part of your sessions prior to that. But
Hmm.
what is hypnotherapy like? For those that have never done it or maybe curious, but they want more
Hmm.
information on what the process is like, what does it feel like? What is their,
Hmm.
expectation? Did they have to do anything or did they just sit there? It's like, can you walk us through for the
Hmm.
beginner level person, I guess, that's never tried it before, if they were to work with you remotely and want to engage in hypnotherapy to help kind of clear some of this stuff out, what does that process look like?
Hmm. Yeah. So I work in person in Fort Collins. My office is in Old Town or downtown here. And then I also, yes, I see clients worldwide virtually. So the experience doing a hypnotherapy session with me is very across the board, whether you do it virtually or in person, it's going to be a consistent experience. And so yeah, we're going to talk a lot before you actually go into that trance state. And the biggest thing that I want people to understand is just that it's not some mystical state where you're gonna be incapacitated and you're not gonna remember what happened and you're gonna say all these things that you wouldn't normally say. No, it's you're fully in control. You are in full control the whole time. So if you wanted to open your eyes at any point, you absolutely could. If there were to be a threat in the room you were in, you would pop right out of it. It's the same state that we go through multiple times a day, like as you're drifting off to sleep at night, and that split second where you're right in between sleep and wakefulness, where it's kind of like you have phenomena, but you aren't really like here nor there. That's kind of what it's like. And we all oscillate between different trance levels, even in the same trance. So, yeah, really, what I would do is just really get to know you as a person and what I treat people as the whole person. You know, we're not just working on this aspect of your life that you come into the session. We're looking at everything and we're taking who you are as a whole person into account. So not just, the whole tree, the
Of
what you
that. Yeah.
show,
Hmm.
what your fears and what your wouldn't say, like, we get it all integrated. So you're in a space of clarity. And I think the biggest thing I do is I help people trust themselves because, that's really what I see after going through that process is that people figure out what was already inside of them. And it just kind of like empowers them to fully own that and see it and be like, yeah, I am awesome. That's so true. And it's like, it's amazing to see. So, yeah, another thing about the trance state is it's a very, time is distorted. So you could be in a trance for 2, 3 hours and it feels like a few minutes. So what I do is journey work. So we'll take you into a trance induction, depending on if you're more of a visual person, more of a kinesthetic, like you feel things in your body, or whatever your aptitude is. We'll follow that as a lead system, take you into a trance induction, which it takes 20, 30 minutes just to get you in that relaxed state. And then we will start bringing in kind of what you came in for and what we discussed. And we bring that up in a safe place to really feel it and let that energy be there and just really see it in a whole new way. And then we'll do different, depending on what's needed, we'll do either reframing work, which is taking something that happened to you, something in your life, and taking it and looking at it in a whole new way. Or we'll do different communication between different parts of your psyche. So maybe there's a part of you that really wants to do better with drinking and not drink as much, but then this other part of you just wants to destroy yourself, you know? So there's, we get them all on the same page because they all have a positive intention. They all were trying to help you at one point. So we want to get them all on the same page so they can all work harmoniously for you instead of kind of holding your progress back. And then I do past life regression. Sometimes that's where the session takes us. Um, yeah, it's just, oh, there we go. My computer was saying it was going to die, and I was like, it's plugged in, but it wasn't fully pushed in. But yeah, I kind of forgot what I was talking about, but
When you're in hypnosis with people, there is a dialogue, right? They're not
yes,
silent the whole time. You're asking questions
yes,
and you're engaging with them through the process.
yep.
Okay.
And I uploaded a full session actually just yesterday onto my YouTube channel. So if you're listening and you're like, I really want to see what this is like, and kind of before I even look into it, go watch that because it shows the whole process from
I
us
love that.
talking
Yeah.
to the induction to the actual healing and then the suggestions at the end that becomes the client recording. So
Okay.
then, so yeah, you do talk, you're speaking in that state much as if you are speaking at night during a dream. And every time you hear your own voice, it'll just help you relax more. And so, yeah, we'll do some journey work together, and wherever spirit takes us, that's, I think, what I was going to say is it's always, I always let it go wherever spirit takes us. I don't have an agenda for the session. I never know what's going to come up. It's always it's a blank canvas, and we never know what's going to get painted on that. It's, just like if you had a canvas, you're like, I'm going to paint a horse. Okay. So there's going to be a horse on there, maybe, but you don't know exactly what it's going to look like or anything about it until it's actually drawn. So it's like, yeah, we can have an idea, but we don't really know until we actually go into the space, which is kind of like an art piece. It's a
Yeah.
piece of healing work. Now, so yeah, that's we talk, we get to a point of completion. Like, I'm never gonna open you up and then just be like, okay, we're good, we're done on time. Let's see you next time. No, if we open something, we're gonna work that to a sense of completion until that full thing is worked through. Yesterday, that one that I uploaded, which you might even share that link in the
Well,
description on
yeah, we're
here.
gonna put your show note, the stuff in the
Yeah,
show notes of how people can get
awesome.
a hold of you. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that, yes. And so, yeah, we'll put that session there. And you can see in that session that my client, like, she came with like three or four things and really only one piece that we could get to during that session.
Mhm.
And so, but it was done in a very thorough way. And so then
Right,
when she comes back, we'll do the other pieces as it organically comes
right.
through.
Yeah.
So as their session is going and they are saying things, I'm keeping notes. Like, I usually write like several pages of notes during every session. And then that becomes their subconscious suggestions that becomes their recording. So then they have a recording that they listen to for up to 45 days. And that really adds that new life-giving program and solidifies it and makes that the new point of attraction. So the session, it's like we're going in, we're removing that old energy, that old program, the old way of believing. And then once that's out of there, that leaves us space to put the new program in. And then that's what you're recording. That's based off of what your subconscious said during the session. And then we'll give you the positive suggestions. So, like I was telling my client yesterday, like if we are working with a smoker, then, we don't want to say, you will not smoke cigarettes because then all you're going to see is a cigarette. So we want to say you will have clear lungs, you will feel full of vibrant life, and so we're making the new point of attraction. But those
Yeah.
recordings are
Hmm.
gold because every soul generates so many suggestions every session. And that's how I do it, and that's the modality I teach is the QSM modality, the quantum shift method.
You teach it too, like for
Hmm.
certifications?
Yes, it's a 6 month, 150 hour certification.
That is awesome. So that's something that people can find on your website.
Yes. And I also
Fantastic.
teach Reiki healing.
Okay. Awesome. Is that stuff all online?
Hmm.
The Reiki
Yep.
healing, or is that an online course?
It can be, or it can be in person. I'm
Okay.
actually doing an in-person course coming up in June. June 6th. Yeah, June 6th at 10 to 6 in Old Town at my office. So, yeah, if anyone is listening and you're like kind of just looking for a new channel, like a new container of energy to either start seeing clients, Reiki can be a great way to start doing that. Um, or self-healing, like a way to really heal yourself and regulate yourself. But yeah, it's a life-changing modality.
So thank you for sharing that. So I'll have links for Derek's information for his upcoming courses. Those are fabulous. That's gold. And the link to your YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. Thank you so much for talking about what you do in your work, in your healing. And
Oh yeah,
the more of
thanks
us that are
for
out there, the
having
better.
me. Yes, yes, absolutely. And there's so many amazing souls that help people in the world.
There sure
and
are.
it's all so valuable. Like I always tell people, it's not like one or the other. It's not like you come to me or Jill. It's like you come to all of us because all of those different, you want as many angles as possible to your healing because they're all supporting you in different ways and on different levels. And yeah, I feel like I've seen people get through the craziest things that they never thought they would survive and dig deeper and find that strength and find something beautiful out of really crazy things that happen to
Yeah.
them. And,
Yeah.
and that was my experience. Like, I healed myself with holistic practitioners. Like, I found my own way of healing my own addiction and OCD and all of those things that really plagued me.
That's so great. Well, thank you so much, Derek. It was a pleasure to have you on and get to know you more. And again, the show notes
Yeah.
with all of his contact information will be in the show notes. So take a peek at that. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Stay tuned for the next one, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you for staying on, everybody. Appreciate you spending the time. Go ahead and subscribe and sponsor below. Each small donation helps me bring on more guests and keep everything moving forward on this podcast. Below, there are links to my website, links to my guests' websites and information. There's also a link to Amazon to get a copy of The Spirited Life.